Good everyone. Today's task is a revision quiz. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk through each question and then I'm going to ask you to pause the video, have a go at it yourself, either print it out or just have a go, like looking at the file or whatever, in your home learning books, and then we'll come back and I'll go through it together, kind of like I normally do in a revision quiz lesson. Okay. So, question 1, calculate the volume of this cone, leaving your answer in terms of pi. Now, I have asked some of you to do this last week. If you didn't, I'm aware that there was, obviously a bit of disruption last week in terms of who should be doing what and all that kind of stuff. So, it is still on your Hegarty maths. I would like you to all have a go at it because it is important that. But I will give you the formulas. These 3 things were all things that you should have done last week. I'll still be expecting them to be finished. The formula for the volume of a cone is 1/3 times pi r squared times your height. Okay, so the way to think about that, remember, there's 1/3 times pi r squared, which will be the area of the circle on the bottom, so the area of the base, times by the height. Be careful because 30 is not the radius there. Okay, so you're using that formula with the numbers that you've got there. Apart from that one, you need to do something with that. You need your radius, remember that's your diameter, and then just leave your answer in terms of pi, so leave it with the pi sign in it. Okay, right, question 2, express 240 as a product of its prime factors. And remember what this means is you're going to use a factor tree. Okay, the factor tree won't be your answer, you need to write something else down after that. You're going to start off with 240 and then you're going to split it up like that. The way I would do this, the first 2 factors I'd use would be 2 and 120, and I'd circle a 2 because it's a prime number. And then you keep doing that, and remember at the end of it, your answer is all those numbers that you've got circled times together. That's what product means. Right, question 3. Calculate the volume of this frustum. And remember, the frustum is a cone with the top chopped off. And the way that you do it is you figure out the volume of the big cone, which would be have a radius of 15 and a height of 36, and then you would also figure out the volume of the little cone, which is there. Remember, you've got the formula for the volume of the cone up there, so figure out the volume of the big cone, figure out the volume of the little cone, take them away, and that'll give you the volume of the frustum. Now, there is one thing missing on here that you need to know. For the big cone, you'll be doing 1/3 times pi times your radius squared, which is 15. So 15 squared times 36, okay? If you look at the little cone, you know its height, but you do not know its radius. You don't know what that distance is from there to there. And what you have to do is you have to look at the ratio between the heights and apply that to the radiuses. So the height of this little cone is 12 and the height of this big cone is 36, which means the big cone is 3 times bigger. So if the radius of the big cone is 15, what must the radius of the little cone be? Okay, I'll leave you to think about that and then we'll come back and talk about it later on. Right, question 4. Solve this equation. Remember, to solve something, dash line down the middle of your equal sign, take away your smallest x term first, then get rid of the numbers and then solve for x. Okay. Question 5, calculate the volume of this sphere. Now again, volume of the sphere was something that I did ask you to do last week, but if you haven't done it, don't worry about it. In terms of this, you can still do it. The volume for the volume of a sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed. So 4/3 times pi times your radius cubed. So I'll let you have a go at that one. Okay. Right, question 6. Rationalise this. Now remember, rationalise means get rid of the surd on the bottom of the fraction. We don't want that there because we can't express surds properly, or we can't sort of calculate them properly, so we can therefore not be dividing by them. That doesn't work out. So remember that when it is something like 3 minus root 2, you have to use the conjugate. So you're going to multiply both the top and the bottom by the conjugate of this. Can you know what conjugate means? It's very similar to 3 minus root 2, but something changes about that. Okay, so you're going to times the top by that thing and times the bottom by that thing. Multiply it all out to try and simplify it. Okay. Right, question 7, expand and simplify it. And when you expand something like this, you're going to use FOIL. So you're going to do 2x times 3x, 2x times minus 1, 5 times 3x, 5 times minus 1. Write them all out, simplify it, dead easy. Question 8, Peter and John share some money in the ratio 3:7. Okay, now when you get a question like this, draw out a diagram using blocks. So Peter and John. Peter gets 3 blocks because he comes first and 3 comes first. and then John will get 7 blocks. So 4, 5, 6, 7. John gets £280 more than Peter. It means that the extra blocks must represent that. So you can then figure out what 1 block is worth and figure out how much they shared in total. Okay. Right, question 9. Solve this equation, giving your answer to 1 decimal place. Now, it doesn't tell you what to use on this, but hopefully you can spot that you are going to be using the quadratic formula on this. Now, if you've forgotten what that is, I'm just going to write it down here. It's x equals minus b plus minus root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, remember there, a is 4, b is minus 5, and c is minus 3. Okay, you will need a calculator for that one. And try and get it to 1 decimal place, please. And then question 10, find x. Well, that's a right angle triangle, and I know 2 of the sides, so I'm going to be using Pythagoras theory. Remember that Pythagoras says that a squared plus b squared will equal c squared. So you're going to be squaring these numbers, doing something with them, and then square rooting them at the end. Okay, so there's my little hints and tips for it. So can you pause this video, please? Have a go at those questions on your own, and then unpause it, and we'll talk through all the answers. Okay, so question 1, as I said, if the diameter is 30, it means there that the radius is going to be 15. So you should be putting into your calculator 1/3 times pi times 15 squared times 50. So 1/3 times pi times 15 squared times 50. We're going to leave this in terms of pi. So my answer there is just 3,750 pi. Okay, so that was your answer. Well done if you got that one right. Question 2, products of prime factors. So we had the first prime factor there, which was 2, and then 120. That will go to 2 and 60, circle the 2. That will go to 2 and 30, circle the 2 again. 2 and 15, circle the 2 again. And 3 and 5. And we're going to circle both of them because both 3 and 5 are prime numbers. Okay, now remember that isn't your answer. We've got everything written there, we just need to write the answer in a certain way. Your answer is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 5. So 2 times 2 is 2 times 2, 1, 2, 3, 4 2s, times 3 times 5. You can write it like that if you want to, or you can simplify these first 4 terms to 2 to the power 4 times 3 times 5, but you must write it as either that one or that one. If you haven't, you've got it wrong. Put like ticks in the middle of the, put like 2, comma 2, comma 2. That's not right. It must be 2 times, 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 because of product. That's what product means. Okay. So question 3. So the big cone will be 1/3 times pi times 15 squared times 36. The little cone we were talking about, its height is 12. We didn't know what its radius was. So the height of the big cone is 36, which is 12 bigger. Which is 3 times bigger than 12, which means that the radius here must be 3 times bigger than the radius there, which means the radius there must be 5. So the little cone will be 1/3 times pi times 5 squared times 12. So we need to figure both of them out and take them away. Okay. Or you can put it all in as one big sum if you want to. That thing, take away this thing. I'm going to do that. 1/3 times pi times 15 squared times 36 minus 1/3 times pi times 5 squared times 12. That gives me 2,600 pi. But I want my answer to 1 decimal place. So 8168 point, and then I'm going to chop it after that first decimal place. So I'll look at the number directly next to it, which is a 4, so it doesn't round up. So it's just 8168.1 centimeters cubed. Okay, so that was your answer there. Well done if you got that one. That'll be a lot of marks on a GCSE question. That well done. 4 or 5 marks for that. Right, question 4. This one, get rid of your smallest x term first, which means I'm going to take away 3x from both sides there. So that's going to give me 2x minus 8 equals 40. Then I'm going to add 8 to both sides, which is going to give me 2x equals 48. Divide both sides by 2. It's going to give me that x is 24. Okay, well done if you got that one right. Question 5, using this formula, Okay. One little note about the formulas, by the way, you are actually told the formula for the volume of a cone and the volume of a sphere at the front of any GCSE paper. So don't panic if you're thinking, oh, how am I ever going to remember that? You're told them to. So with this one, it's actually a very easy question. It's just 4 over 3 times pi times 8 cubed. 4 over 3 times pi times 8 to the power 3. And I want that to 3 significant figures. So that means that's your first significant figure, second significant figure, third significant figure. Now the third significant figure is the tens column. So I'm going to round that number to the nearest 10, which is 2,140. Okay, well done if you got that one. Right, so we're left just wondering what the conjugate was for this. The conjugate, remember, is the same two terms, but with the opposite sign in the middle. So the conjugate there is 3 plus root 2. That will give me 15 plus 5 root 2 on the bottom, and then I'm going to expand these two things over here. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 3 root 2, minus 3 root 2, minus root 2 times plus root 2 will be minus root 4, and I'm going to simplify what I can. Those two things are going to disappear, aren't they? Plus 3 root 2 minus 3 root 2, they will cancel each other out. 9. Now, root 4 is 2, so that's 9 minus 2. So the bottom just ends up giving me 7. So that's my answer. 15 plus 5 root 2 over 7. Well done if you got that, because that is hard, that. Okay, it's effectively A-level work, that. So really, really well done if you got it. Right, question 7 sort of uses this again. So 2x times 3x is 6x squared. 2x times minus 1 is minus 2x. 5 times 3x is 15x. 5 times minus 1 is minus 5. And remember, we can simplify those two middle terms with the x's because they're like terms. X and x squared isn't like term, but x and x is. So that's going to be 6x squared. 2 baddies, 15 goodies. That means the goodies are going to win by 13. So that's your answer. Okay. Right, question 8. There's Peter and John's blocks drawn out, and John gets £280 more than Peter. That means that these extra blocks here must represent that 280 quid. So what do we need to divide the 280 by? Well, we need to share it into 4 blocks, which means you're going to get 70 in every block. And then you can add all the blocks up, or you can count them up in times and by that. 3 there, 7 there, which means you've got 10 blocks altogether. So how much money do they share in total? Well, that'll be 70 lots of 10, which is 700 quid, isn't it? Okay. Right, question 9. So what I would do here is list out that A is 4, B is minus 5, and C is minus 3, and then plug those values into this. That means we've got minus 5. Remember that whenever you replace a letter with a number, put it in brackets. Plus minus the square root of minus 5 all squared. That one is really important that you do it there. Minus 4 times minus 3 all over 2 lots of 4. Okay, so when you're putting this into your calculator, press the fraction button first. So minus brackets minus 5. You're worried, by the way, about whether you should be using this minus or this minus. It doesn't matter. Okay. Plus square root brackets minus 5 close brackets squared minus 4 brackets 4 brackets minus 3 close brackets. The reason, by the way, we put the brackets around it is because it then, the calculator knows exactly what to do with it. You don't have to worry about what all this means. Okay, you don't have to worry about it in terms of what do I need to do I add the 4 and the 4 there and the minus 3 there. The calculator will just do that for you. Okay, so our first answer to 1 decimal place is going to be 1.7. You can spot that because it's got a 9 next to the 6 there. So when we chop it after the 6, that's going to be 1.7. And then the quick way to remember to get your second answer, because that plus minus means put it in once with the plus, once with the minus, is just to go back through all of this until you get to there. Oops. Delete the plus, replace it with a minus, and then just press equals again. and we get minus 0.4. Okay, really well done if you got that one right. Okay, it's tough that. And question 10, Pythagoras theory, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And we did this, you figured out a short side there. So in terms of our quick way of doing it, we'll be doing the square root of this squared minus this squared. And just put that into your calculator and go square root of 8 squared minus 5 squared. And that gives me 6.2. Okay, so can you please mark whatever you did, correct whatever you didn't get right, and then can you just put down what you got out of 10 on your own, and then take a photo of this or scan it using the Notes app. If you've got an iPhone, if you go into your Notes, click the little three dots button in the top right, it'll allow you to scan a document. Just scan your page and then email it back to me, please. Okay.